What's up, guys? Welcome in to the podcast. My name's Denim. Welcome in for the first time. I've started this podcast called Swing Thoughts. It's basically there to share the experiences of a mid-handicap golfer. And today's topic I wanted to get into was my golf game is going downhill and I don't know what to do about it. Because that is exactly what's happening with me. It has been an incredibly difficult stage of being a amateur golfer, because at the end of the day, I think we all care how we play golf. If you are someone that takes it sort of serious enough to the point where you care about your golf game, then you should find a lot of value in this podcast series, as well as the different videos that I post on my YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to it. But let's get into this week's episode. I've just got back home from playing 9 holes at a public golf course. I'm not a member anywhere, so it's kind of just, wherever we can get a tee time at the moment. I am a mid-handicapper. For anyone that is new to my channel, again, welcome. And I play off about 12 to 14. My handicap kind of ranges between there. Sometimes it blows past that. Sometimes I play to it. But more often than not, recently, I've been playing way above that and just not playing good golf at all. So it's been a difficult period when it comes to golf. And, I know there's a lot of people out there that listen to golf podcasts, watch golf videos. And the reason so many people watch golf YouTube content is because people care about fixing their golf swing and actually truly care about their golf game. Because it is a way of lifestyle for a lot of us, it can make or break a certain day. It can, get you down at certain times. So the interesting part about that for me is the mental game. I'm an analytical dude, so I like to analyze. I like to look back. I like to learn from certain things and trying to kind of just understand enough about what I'm doing on the golf course to help me improve. But I feel like more recently, I've been playing inconsistent golf, really inconsistent golf, and something I picked up on today was I'm not a good 9-hole golf player. Like, I need 18 holes to post a good score. And this is a really, really interesting topic for me because when I break it down, I know exactly why that reason is. If I think about the amount of times that I've rocked up to a golf course, probably like 10 minutes before the tee time, stretched, said hello to my friends or my playing partners. I've walked up to the first tee probably with a couple of practice swings, but I haven't really taken into account what the weather's like, what the contact's going to be like when you first hit that first shot, how stiff your body is. All that kind of stuff really matters. And I'll walk up to the first tee and, generally speaking, I won't play horrendously bad golf. I think my capability at the moment is at a place where I can kind of get there and mess around and shoot in the kind of high 80s and, look back at it, be disappointed, and then just go again. But I'm kind of sick of that cycle. So if you're someone like that, then this trend might be interesting for you to take a closer look at. When I look at it, my problem has definitely been that I just don't spend enough time warming up, getting to the course on time. And even when my friend asked me about it today, what I said was my goal was to get here 10 minutes early so that I could, be ready for the first tee on time. That's just not going to cut it when it comes to playing better golf. So this was definitely one thing. I think the expectation of rocking up to a golf course 10 minutes before your tee time and then expecting to shoot your best score is just not reasonable. And I've still got to instill this in my mindset and the way I kind of approach the game. And if I want to get better, because I do care about my game, much like you guys, I want my game to improve, but unfortunately, it's just not going that way, and I have to try to figure out why that is the case. I'm going to be playing golf for the rest of my life. That's how I see it. And if that's with God's grace, that's at least another 30 years of this game. And I think after really just kind of going full-time golf, because I played basketball for a lot of my 20s and kind of early 30s, it's way different. I feel like golf, you can't just rely on natural talent to get you by. It's not a sport that you can just naturally rock up to the course and be naturally gifted and do really well. because there are tough courses out there that'll rip you apart. And not even, not even to mention the mind, the battle of the mind when it comes to trying to get you across the line. So I don't mean to come across full on serious or too analytical and things like that when it comes to the game. I do have a lighthearted approach to golf for sure. But when I sit down for this podcast, what I really want to focus in on is how can I bring any value to people who may be struggling with similar types of issues or problems, for the ones that care about getting better. And I think definitely these trends are going to help me find out what it is that my game lacks and then try to kind of go after it that way. So getting to my tee times earlier is something I got to work on, and I'm not good at it at all. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I can talk about it all I want. I just got to start doing it a little bit more often. Let me know if you're enjoying this type of conversation. This is all it's supposed to be. I'm basically capturing a lot of my experiences on YouTube and this podcast. If you are, please let me know in the comments section. Being a YouTube creator is a lonely place, and talking to a camera is weird. And I can't explain how weird it is exactly because there's no one else here. But I do love making YouTube videos, and the hope is that I will be able to create a content of value for a community. I think the goal definitely with this podcast is to build a community, whether that's 5 people or 500 people, that get some sort of value from the type of content that I'm creating. And more so, we're collectively able to improve the game of golf for our individual games. And definitely let me know in the comment section if that's something you want to keep seeing and these episodes are useful. So I recently purchased a Spawnia net and I installed it in my garage, and I'm trying to turn my garage into a little bit of a practice area that I can have fun in. That's what that is set up for. There's obviously a level of seriousness when it comes to training, and having a structured way to hit golf balls is really important. I think there is a fine line between like the enjoyment of the game, but then there is also that want and need to improve so you can enjoy it. It's this fine balance. And something that I have only really recently realized about it is that golf's way more enjoyable when you're playing well. And sometimes that's not going to happen all the time. So my mindset is sort of very different now when I go and play golf or play around a golf. Is I just think about, I enjoy the game of golf, but I'm kind of separated from the outcomes as much as I can be. War of attrition between you and the game and the next shot and your swing patterns and the environment you're playing in, your partner that you're playing against. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into playing golf, and I think that's what makes it an amazing sport to play and be a part of. And I never ever imagined a world where I'm sitting in front of a camera on a podcast talking about golf. When I first started playing, this wasn't the case at all. So I know I've gone a little bit off topic, but you can sort of understand where I'm coming from a little bit. The analytical side will start to show out, and it's what I enjoy doing, man. And if you enjoy it, I'm glad, because that means that there's some sort of value in it for you. But if you are wanting to get better, if you're wanting to have a different approach to the game, you want to look at it from a different perspective, I think this channel may afford it to you in the future. So stick around. I do urge you to do that, and consider subscribing to the channel. I kind of lost my train of thought there a little bit about where the conversation was heading with you guys. But I guess the disappointing thing about today's round was that I've been doing a whole bunch of work in my garage, kind of going back to what I'd picked up on today. And something that an insight that I got from today's round for sure after I was done was, I was driving home, I was in the car, and I think, you guys will know what that feels like after playing a bad round of golf. You're kind of pondering not only golf, why do you do this to yourself, but you're also pondering, can I go and play a round again? Like, I'm ready to go again. Let's go and fix all those problems that I, succumb to on the course. I want to go fix them right now. Let's go to the driving range. And if you're a golfer like that and you've ever played golf, you will realize even beginners will go through this, where you play around or maybe go and hit a few balls, and then you want to go and do it again. and you want to try and fix the problem that you were facing. And that is so unique because I've played other sports and just sort of, given up on, well, I'm done for the day kind of thing. But I was on the way home, I was driving, and, I was on the highway. I was thinking about what was the insight that I got from today's round. And I was really disappointed because I had been doing a lot of work with my swing. I'd obviously seen a swing coach about a month ago, and I keep mentioning this to you. I've got a video that you can check out on my YouTube channel if you're interested. And it was the first real lesson that I got from a professional where I got true value out of it. And then I took a bunch of different things with my swing away from that, and I've been working on it in my garage. And I think what was really disappointing was that I thought that when I went into today's round, I could just get to the course and everything would be fine. And it wasn't the case. Like I think that was a huge mistake on my part, was assuming that I'd been doing all these work in the past week or 2 weeks and that it was automatically just going to translate into playing a good round of golf and me scoring a low score. It's just not the case. And I started to wonder why that was, and it's probably why a lot of us as golfers, when we go to the range, we might go a couple of times a week, and then you go to the course expecting to, play well, and you don't. I think the reason for that, and the insight I got from it, was that, training and hitting golf balls in a range or into a net doesn't always translate into actually playing golf. And I talked about this on a separate podcast episode with my friends that were over about a week or two ago. And playing golf is so different to practicing to play golf. The things that you work on the range or in a net, just will generally be about yourself, will be about your swing, will be about, how you make contact with the ball, which are all really, really important parts of it. But I feel like that makes up only about 30, maybe 35% of the actual game of golf. And this is where I think the imbalance of when we go to train comes into it, and where we commit a lot of time into that one part of the game of hitting golf balls to get better and lower our scores. And, I want to emphasize this. I'm not knocking training, because it is such an important, pivotal part of you improving. And it's something that I will continue to do. But what I'm talking about specifically is the difference between training for golf and actually playing the game of golf. When you get on a golf course, it's very different. You are now challenged with which way the wind's blowing, or how the layout of that specific hole you're trying to play on a winter's day where the ball doesn't travel as far. You have all these different things and different elements that come into how you play the game of golf. And, at the end of it, all you're trying to do is put the ball in the hole. But when you're playing, when you're practicing at a range, that's not the focus. You're not trying to, score, and you're not trying to minimize damage. You're not trying to scramble. And this was something that I realized, and the insight that I got was, a couple of things that I took away from it was 2 weeks of practice on the range doesn't mean that you're automatically going to score better on the golf course. That was the first thing. And the second thing was, I'm not practicing playing the game of golf. I'm only practicing how to hit a golf ball. I became a little bit more aware of where I was at and the problems that I was having on the golf course, and I continue to have, are going to continue to be there, because they're only going to go away once I start playing more golf consistently. And that led me to understand that I'm not playing enough golf to actually improve. And it's funny, because if you want to improve at golf, what do you got to do? You got to play more of it. But I'm not doing that, but still expecting to play better each time that I tee it up. And sit back and think about that for a second. It really got me. It really sunk in, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted to jump on the podcast and kind of talk about the this topic specifically, because all the work that I did was useless, and why do I continue doing it? But at the same time, it's like, no, hang on, that work is really, really important. And, it's having structure around that work, but also having a kind of a realization that that work is not always going to translate into playing better golf. It will help you play better golf, but at the end of the day, you got to get on the course and worry about the challenges that are in front of you rather than just sort of hitting a golf ball. So this was definitely it was definitely an eye opener this morning, and when I look back at it, I know for sure that I'm not going to stop practicing. I love my sporting net. I keep saying this. I'm a huge fan of that, and I do want to set up a simulator at some point, which will help me actually sort of simulate a round of golf, and I can picture where the ball's going and kind of the different challenges to some extent, because simulated golf is still, a simulated version of of reality. So you're not challenged with different lies and conditions that you got to play in. So in the same sense, you're now shifting from how do I hit this golf ball further to how do I actually score better and play a good round of golf on the simulator. So I definitely want to get a simulator. I'm looking at the Garmin R10. I don't know if anyone out there listening or watching to this episode has a simulator at home. If you do, let me know what recommendations you have. I've obviously got to save up some money. Golf is an expensive sport, man. It's not something we can, if you're anything like me, you can't just shill out money. You got rent or mortgage to deal with, and it's tough times right now. We're probably going into a recession from an economy standpoint, and golf is probably the last thing that we can all afford to do. But it's also something that's important to a lot of us from a social side of things, as well as a competitive edge, and something for us to look forward to when we get to the weekend, or, some people might be playing throughout the week. At the moment, I obviously don't have a job. I have a business that I'm starting up, and it's quite slow going, and it's tough, man. Like my dog in the background here, without my partner, without my family, without this business, and without golf, and making YouTube videos is something I love doing as well. It would be tough because I'm sure a lot of people are going through it at the moment financially. So let me know if anyone does have a simulator, or if you're someone that wants to eventually have a simulator at home or have some kind of golf training set up. Let me know in the comment section. At the end of the day, we are a community on this channel, and I want to include as many voices into the conversation as I can, as well as on when I go to play golf. I'd love to tee it up with some of you if that opportunity ever comes up in the future, and we can do this all together. The one thing that I do admire about YouTube golfers is that how good they are, but the ones that are really starting to admire, the ones that are kind of open to sharing how hard golf is and how to overcome the challenges in golf. It's awesome watching Grant and Garrett and Micah Morris and all these guys just absolutely obliterate golf courses. It's a lot of fun, but I'm more into figuring out how to run this marathon of golf, because that's what it is, and finding little ways of getting better each time that I play, taking something away, and unfortunately you'll never conquer it all. That's something that's I think I'm starting to get the understanding. Perfection is not in the vocabulary of golf. It's not in the dictionary of golf. So if that's the case, then how can I get a little bit more consistent each time that I play is all I'm focused on. So a couple of key takeaways to wrap this thing up is basically I got to play a little bit more golf. If I want to get better at it, I got to get on the course a little bit more, and that's going to be tough. That's going to be hard in not only financially for me personally, but from a time perspective. It's difficult balancing that. I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that are the same with your families, that maybe you're a dad, you're a mum maybe. Got to get out on the course as much as you can, and if you can't do that more consistently, then kind of just tapering back some of the expectations of how well you're going to play. Getting to the course a little bit earlier, or at least warming up before you leave to the course. If you've got a net set up at home, maybe you warm up in the garage and you get your stretches out, get your bad shots out, and then head to the course. That's probably more likely for me than actually being able to leave an hour, 2 hours early. And then obviously just continue to work on the game, work on the craft, perfect a little bit more of the swing, but it's not perfection that I'm after. It's just a little bit more consistency. How do I hit the middle of the club more consistently? And I think next episode, I definitely want to touch on ball striking. It's something that's definitely improved for me on a personal note. If you do have other topics of conversation, please let me know in the comments section. The best way to support me and this podcast and the YouTube channel is to like, share it, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you enjoyed this and got some value out of it. I'll catch you on the next one.